The foundation of Amish agricultural success is, quite literally, the ground beneath their feet. While conventional agriculture has increasingly treated soil as an inert medium to be propped up with synthetic fertilizers and protected with chemical pesticides, the Amish have always understood it as a living, breathing entity, the very lifeblood of the farm. Their entire agricultural system is designed around the principle of feeding the soil, with the implicit understanding that healthy soil will, in turn, feed the plants. This philosophy is most clearly expressed in their sophisticated and unwavering commitment to crop rotation. An Amish field is not subjected to the relentless planting of a single cash crop year after year, a practice known to deplete specific nutrients and invite pests and diseases. Instead, it follows a carefully planned sequence, a rhythmic cycle of giving and taking that ensures the soil's continued vitality. A typical rotation might involve a year of corn, a heavy feeder that draws nitrogen from the soil, followed by a year of oats or barley, which have less demanding nutrient requirements. The subsequent year would be dedicated to legumes, such as alfalfa or clover. This is a critical step in the cycle, as these plants possess the remarkable ability to fix atmospheric nitrogen in the soil through a symbiotic relationship with rhizobia bacteria in their root nodules, naturally replenishing the nitrogen that the corn crop consumed. Finally, the rotation often includes a period where the field is planted with cover crops, or green manure, such as rye or vetch, which are not harvested but are tilled back into the earth. This practice protects the soil from erosion during the winter months, suppresses weeds, and, most importantly, adds a significant amount of organic matter, which is the cornerstone of soil fertility. This constant addition of organic matter is what truly sets Amish soil apart. In an era where topsoil is being eroded and degraded at an alarming rate across the globe, Amish farms are actively building it. The primary source of this organic enrichment is animal manure. Unlike their conventional counterparts, who often see animal waste as a disposal problem, the Amish view it as black gold. Their farms are typically diversified, integrated systems where livestock and crops exist in a symbiotic relationship. Dairy cows, hogs, chickens, and the indispensable draft horses all produce a steady supply of nutrient-rich manure. This manure is not haphazardly spread, but is carefully composted. It is piled, turned, and allowed to decompose, transforming it into a stable, nutrient-dense humus teeming with beneficial microorganisms. This composted manure does more than just supply nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. It fundamentally transforms the structure of the soil. It improves aeration, allowing plant roots to breathe and grow more freely. It dramatically increases the soil's water-holding capacity, making Amish farms more resilient to periods of drought. A field with high organic matter acts like a sponge, absorbing rainfall and reducing runoff, which not only conserves precious water, but also prevents the loss of topsoil and the pollution of nearby waterways. This living soil, rich in microbial life, also actively works to suppress plant diseases and pests, creating a robust and resilient ecosystem where crops can thrive without the need for a constant barrage of chemical interventions. The difference is palpable. A handful of soil from a conventional farm is often dry, lifeless, and crumbles to dust, while a handful from an Amish field is dark, moist, and fragrant, teeming with the promise of life. The Amish preference for animal power over machine power is another critical element contributing to their agricultural abundance. While the modern tractor allows a single farmer to cultivate vast acreages, it comes at a significant ecological cost: soil compaction. The immense weight of these heavy machines press down on the earth, squeezing out the air pockets and creating a dense, impermeable layer known as a hardpan. This compaction restricts root growth, impedes water infiltration, and harms the delicate ecosystem of earthworms and microorganisms that are essential for soil health. In stark contrast, a team of horses or mules distributes its weight far more gently. Their hooves create minimal compaction, leaving the soil structure intact and preserving its porosity. This gentle touch allows the soil to remain loose and friable, a perfect medium for seed germination and root development. Furthermore, the use of horses necessitates a smaller scale of farming. An Amish family can typically manage around 80 to 100 acres with horse-drawn equipment. This limitation, which might be seen as a disadvantage from an industrial perspective, is in fact a profound strength. It forces the farmer to engage with the land on a more intimate and manageable scale. Rather than overseeing thousands of acres from the air-conditioned cab of a combine harvester, the Amish farmer walks behind the plow, his hands in the soil, his senses attuned to the subtle variations in its texture and moisture. This proximity fosters a deep and detailed knowledge of the land. The farmer can observe which areas are draining well, where pests might be emerging, or which plants are showing signs of nutrient deficiency. This constant close-up observation allows for timely and precise interventions, a level of meticulous care and management that is simply impossible on a vast mechanized farm. The slower pace of horse-powered farming is not a sign of inefficiency, but a prerequisite for a more observant, responsive, and ultimately more productive form of agriculture. This human-centric, labor-intensive approach is woven into the very fabric of Amish society and is a key driver of their farm's productivity. In a world that seeks to replace human labor with technology at every turn, the Amish embrace it as a central and virtuous part of life. Amish farms are family farms in the truest sense of the word. From a young age, children are integrated into the daily rhythms of agricultural work. They learn not from textbooks, but through direct experience, absorbing a vast and nuanced body of practical knowledge passed down through generations. A young boy learns how to mend a harness, how to judge the readiness of the hay, and how to guide the horses in a straight furrow. A young girl learns the intricate arts of gardening, food preservation, and managing the poultry flock. This education by doing ensures that essential skills are not lost, but are honed and refined with each passing generation. This abundance of family labor means that tasks that would be economically unfeasible on a conventional farm are commonplace for the Amish. Weeding, for example, is often done by hand, particularly in the extensive market gardens that are a hallmark of many Amish farms. This eliminates the need for herbicides and allows for closer spacing of plants, maximizing the yield from each square foot of land. The intensive management extends to pest control. Rather than relying on broad-spectrum insecticides, which kill beneficial insects along with the pests, the Amish employ a range of subtler, more targeted techniques. They will manually pick pests like potato beetles off the leaves, use trap crops to lure pests away from the main harvest, and encourage the presence of natural predators like birds and predatory insects by maintaining a diverse landscape with hedgerows and wildflower borders. This constant human presence and attention to detail allows the Amish to create a highly productive garden-like environment across their entire farm, a stark contrast to the often neglected expanses of industrial agriculture. The economic and social structure of the Amish community further reinforces these productive agricultural practices. The Amish farm is not primarily a business venture designed for maximum profit accumulation. It is the foundation of a way of life. The goal is not to get rich, but to sustain the family, support the community, and live in a manner consistent with their religious beliefs. This orientation away from pure profit motive allows them to make decisions that prioritize the long-term health of the land over immediate financial returns. For instance, they can afford to dedicate a field to a soil-building cover crop for a season, a practice that might be seen as a loss on a conventional balance sheet, but which pays immense dividends in future fertility. Their economic system is largely internal and community-focused. They patronize each other's businesses, share labor, and provide mutual support in times of need. This creates a resilient local economy that is not beholden to the fluctuating prices of the global commodity market or the rising costs of fuel and chemical inputs. By largely eschewing expensive machinery, synthetic fertilizers, and patented seeds, Amish farmers maintain an exceptionally low overhead. Their primary investments are in the health of their land and their livestock. This low-cost, low-input model means that they are able to achieve a higher net return per acre than many of their conventional neighbors, even if their gross yields for commodity crops like corn or soybeans are sometimes lower. Their profitability comes from a combination of drastically reduced expenses and the higher prices they can command for their fresh, high-quality produce, which is often sold directly to consumers through roadside stands and farmers markets, cutting out the middlemen and ensuring that the full value of their labor returns to the family.
Central to understanding the abundance of Amish agriculture is grasping the philosophical and spiritual principles that underpin it. The guiding concept in Amish life is Gelassenheit, a German word that does not translate easily into a single English term, but encompasses a constellation of meanings: yieldedness, submission, letting be, and serenity. It is the core belief that one should submit one's own will to the will of God. This principle manifests in a deep-seated humility and a rejection of pride and self-aggrandizement. In the context of agriculture, Gelassenheit translates into a profound sense of stewardship. The Amish farmer does not see himself as the master of the land, entitled to dominate and exploit it for his own ends. Instead, he views himself as a caretaker, entrusted by God with the responsibility of tending a small part of his creation. This perspective imbues the daily work of farming with a religious significance. Plowing a field, milking a cow, or weeding a garden are not just chores, they are acts of faith, opportunities to live in harmony with the natural world and fulfill a divine mandate. This worldview fosters a patient, long-term perspective. As one Amish bishop famously said, "We should conduct our lives as if Jesus would return today, but take care of the land as if he would not be coming for 1,000 years." This belief system stands in stark opposition to the short-term, extractive mindset that often characterizes industrial agriculture, where the land's future health is frequently sacrificed for the sake of maximizing the current quarter's profits. The Amish are farming for their great-grandchildren, ensuring that the soil they pass on is richer and more fertile than the soil they inherited. This deep spiritual connection to the land provides an enduring motivation for the hard work and meticulous care that result in such remarkable abundance. The biodiversity inherent in the Amish farming model is another cornerstone of its productivity and resilience. An Amish farm is a polyculture, a complex and integrated system of fields, pastures, gardens, orchards, and woodlots. This diversity stands in sharp contrast to the vast monocultures of conventional farming, where single crops stretch for thousands of acres. This lack of diversity makes industrial farms highly vulnerable to pests, diseases, and extreme weather events. If a particular pest that favors corn arrives, an entire region's harvest can be threatened. In the Amish system, however, the variety of crops and habitats creates a stable and self-regulating ecosystem. Hedgerows and woodlots provide habitat for birds that prey on insect pests. The mix of flowering plants in pastures and gardens supports a healthy population of native pollinators, which are essential for the production of many fruits and vegetables. The practice of saving seeds is also vital to this biodiversity. For generations, Amish families have been selecting and saving seeds from their best-performing plants, developing heirloom varieties that are uniquely adapted to their local soil and climate conditions. These heirloom seeds not only preserve a rich genetic heritage, but also provide a resilience that is lacking in the genetically uniform hybrid seeds used in conventional agriculture. An heirloom tomato, for example, may not have the perfect shape or the shipping durability demanded by a national supermarket chain, but it often possesses a superior flavor and a greater resistance to local diseases. This on-farm biodiversity acts as a form of natural insurance, ensuring that even if one crop fares poorly in a given year, others will likely thrive, guaranteeing a stable and varied food supply for the family and a surplus for the market. Furthermore, the role of the entire family unit, including women and children, is indispensable to the productivity of the farm. The division of labor is clear yet fluid and cooperative. While men typically oversee the field crops and livestock, the women are the masters of the extensive household gardens. These gardens are marvels of productivity, yielding an astonishing variety of vegetables, herbs, and fruits that provide for the family's nutritional needs throughout the year. The women's expertise in canning, pickling, drying, and other forms of food preservation ensures that nothing from the harvest goes to waste. This self-sufficiency drastically reduces the family's reliance on purchased food, further strengthening their economic independence. Children, as they grow, take on increasing responsibilities, contributing meaningful labor that is essential to the farm's success. This cooperative family effort is not seen as drudgery, but as a vital part of building a strong family and community. The work is shared, the burdens are lightened by many hands, and the successes are celebrated together. This integrated family economy, where every member plays a crucial and valued role, generates a level of productivity and efficiency that cannot be measured simply in bushels per acre or dollars per hour. It is a social and economic model that is as fertile and resilient as the soil from which it springs.
In conclusion, the abundant productivity of Amish agricultural products is not the result of a single secret technique or a magical formula. It is the logical and consistent outcome of a holistic, integrated system that is founded on a deep respect for the living soil, powered by the gentle strength of animals and the diligent care of human hands, and guided by a faith that values stewardship, community, and humility. It is a system that demonstrates that true abundance is not merely about maximizing the yield of a single commodity, but about cultivating a healthy, resilient, and self-sustaining ecosystem. The Amish have shown that by focusing on the health of the soil, fostering biodiversity, maintaining a small and manageable scale, and integrating the family and community into the fabric of the farm, it is possible to create a form of agriculture that is not only highly productive, but also ecologically sustainable and deeply fulfilling. Their fields, rich with dark soil and teeming with life, stand as a quiet but powerful rebuke to the notion that the industrial, chemical-dependent model is the only path forward. The overflowing bounty of their roadside stands is not just a testament to their hard work, but a vibrant proof of concept, a living demonstration that an agriculture that honors the past may well hold the key to a more abundant and sustainable future for all. In the quiet, rolling landscapes where the modern world's clamor fades to the rhythmic clip-clop of a horse's gait, there exists a form of cultivation that is at once an act of faith, a scientific discipline, and a living art form. This is the world of the Amish garden, a plot of land that is far more than a source of sustenance. It is a physical manifestation of a worldview, a testament to the profound productivity that arises from principles of humility, stewardship, and an unwavering partnership with the natural world. To speak of Amish gardening tricks is to use a modern word for an ancient understanding, for their methods are not shortcuts or clever hacks, but a deeply ingrained system of knowledge passed down through generations, refined by constant observation, and practiced with a patience that the outside world has largely forgotten. The astonishing abundance found within the fences of an Amish garden, the perfect unblemished tomatoes, the crisp rows of weed-free lettuce, the beanstalks heavy with pods, is the direct result of a holistic philosophy that begins not with the seed, but with the soul of the soil itself, and extends to every single aspect of the garden's life, from the saving of a single seed to the preservation of the final harvest. It is a methodology built on the belief that when one tends to the health of the whole system, the system, in turn, provides an abundance that seems almost miraculous to those accustomed to the chemical-dependent, brute force approach of contemporary agriculture. The entire edifice of Amish horticultural success is built upon a single, non-negotiable foundation: the vitality of the soil. While modern agribusiness often treats soil as an inert medium, a mere anchor for roots to be force-fed with synthetic water-soluble nutrients, the Amish view it as a living, breathing entity, a complex community of organisms that must be nurtured, fed, and respected. Their primary goal is not to feed the plant, but to feed the soil, with the unwavering conviction that a healthy, living soil will provide the plants with everything they need in perfect balance and proportion. This process of building and maintaining soil fertility is a year-round occupation, a continuous cycle of giving back to the earth. The cornerstone of this effort is compost, the black gold that is the lifeblood of the garden. The creation of compost is not a passive act of piling up waste, but a deliberate and skillful craft. The process begins in the barn, where the manure from horses, dairy cows, and chickens is mixed with carbon-rich bedding material like straw or wood shavings. This mixture is not immediately spread on the garden, as its high nitrogen content or heat would scorch delicate plant roots. Instead, it is moved to a dedicated compost pile, often a series of 3 bins or bays, which allow for a systematic rotation. Here, the art of managing the carbon-to-nitrogen ratio, a concept understood intuitively rather than through chemical analysis, comes into play. Too much nitrogen-rich manure results in a slimy, anaerobic pile, while too much carbon-rich straw creates a pile that refuses to heat up and decompose.
The Amish farmer, through sight and smell, knows the proper balance, adding layers of green garden waste, kitchen scraps, and brown leaves to create the perfect environment for thermophilic bacteria to begin their transformative work. The pile is kept moist, like a wrung-out sponge, and is turned with a pitchfork periodically, a labor-intensive task that introduces oxygen, ensuring the decomposition process remains aerobic, efficient, and odor-free. This process can take a full year, by which time the original materials have become completely unrecognizable, transformed into a dark, sweet-smelling, and friable humus teeming with beneficial microorganisms, fungi, and earthworms. This finished compost is then applied generously to the garden beds, most often in the autumn, allowing the winter freezes and thaws to further integrate its structure and nutrients into the topsoil. This annual infusion of stable organic matter works wonders that no chemical fertilizer could ever replicate. It acts as a slow-release source of a complete range of nutrients and micronutrients. It drastically improves soil structure, binding tiny particles of clay, silt, and sand into larger aggregates, creating a soft, crumbly tilth that allows roots to penetrate deeply and without resistance. Crucially, it dramatically increases the soil's water-holding capacity, turning the garden into a veritable sponge that can absorb heavy rainfall without erosion and retain moisture through dry spells, significantly reducing the need for irrigation. Beyond the seasonal application of composted manure, the Amish are masters of green manure, or cover cropping, a technique that ensures no patch of garden soil is ever left bare. Leaving soil naked to the elements is seen as a form of neglect, inviting erosion from wind and rain and allowing opportunistic weeds to take hold.
As soon as a summer crop like peas or early potatoes is harvested, the bed is immediately sown with a cover crop. The choice of crop is deliberate and strategic. A planting of buckwheat in midsummer will grow quickly, choking out weeds with its dense canopy before being turned into the soil to decompose rapidly, adding a quick boost of organic matter. For overwintering, a combination of winter rye and hairy vetch is often chosen. The rye, with its incredibly deep and fibrous root system, acts as a biodrill, breaking up compacted subsoil layers and scavenging for any residual nitrogen that might otherwise leach away with the winter rains. The hairy vetch, a legume, performs the magic of nitrogen fixation, hosting symbiotic bacteria in its root nodules that pull nitrogen gas from the atmosphere and convert it into a plant-available form. When this green living carpet is tilled into the soil in the spring, it decomposes, releasing this captured nitrogen to feed the heavy-feeding crops like corn or tomatoes that will follow. This practice not only enriches the soil and protects it, but it also provides a continuous habitat for the soil food web, the earthworms and microbes that are the true engines of fertility, ensuring they remain active and nourished even when the garden is not producing food for the table. This constant attention to soil building through both compost and cover crops creates a virtuous cycle. Healthier soil produces healthier plants, which are naturally more resistant to pests and diseases, which in turn reduces the need for interventions and provides more healthy biomass to be returned to the compost pile, making the soil even more fertile for the next generation of plants. This rich, carefully prepared soil is then shaped into a garden layout that is a model of efficiency and intensity. The typical Amish garden eschews the long, single rows of mechanized farming, which wastes vast amounts of space on paths for tractors. Instead, they favor a system of wide, raised beds, often no more than 4 feet across. This specific width is a key design feature, as it allows the gardener to comfortably reach the center of the bed from the pathways on either side for planting, weeding, and harvesting. This means the soil within the beds is never compacted by foot traffic, remaining permanently loose and friable, an ideal environment for root development. The paths between the beds are often heavily mulched with straw, wood chips, or even grass clippings, which serves to suppress weeds in the walkways and provide a clean, mud-free surface to kneel or stand on. Within these intensive beds, plants are not sown in single-file lines, but are spaced in a grid or offset triangular pattern. This equidistant spacing allows for a much higher density of plants per square foot than traditional row cropping. As the plants grow, their leaves quickly touch, creating a solid canopy of green, a living mulch that shades the soil completely. This shading has multiple powerful benefits. It dramatically reduces water evaporation from the soil surface, conserving moisture. It blocks the sunlight that weed seeds require to germinate, providing a highly effective and continuous form of weed control. It also creates a cooler, more stable temperature environment for the plant roots below, reducing stress on the plants during the hottest days of summer.
To further amplify the productivity of these intensive beds, the Amish are masters of succession planting, a horticultural chess game played across the 4 seasons. The goal of succession planting is to ensure that as soon as one crop is finished, another is ready to take its place, keeping the garden in a state of continuous production from the first thaws of spring to the hard frosts of late autumn. This requires meticulous planning and a deep intuitive knowledge of crop timings. An early spring crop of radishes and spinach, which mature quickly in cool weather, might be harvested in May, and the bed immediately replanted with bush beans for a summer harvest. After the beans are pulled in August, the same bed could be planted a third time with fall greens like kale or a quick-maturing variety of lettuce that will be harvested well into October. This relay planting ensures there are no fallow moments in the garden beds, maximizing the total yield from a limited space. The technique is often combined with intercropping, where fast-maturing plants are sown between slower-growing ones. A row of radishes, for instance, can be planted between newly transplanted cabbage or broccoli plants. The radishes will be ready for harvest in just a few weeks, long before the larger brassica plants begin to fill out their allotted space, thus garnering an extra harvest from the same square footage. This constant dance of planting and harvesting requires diligence and foresight, but results in a staggering level of output that makes the Amish garden far more productive per square foot than a conventional one. This intricate planting scheme is made even more complex and effective through the sophisticated use of companion planting. This is not a haphazard collection of folklore, but a well-honed science of plant partnerships, where certain plants are grown together for their mutual benefit. The most famous example is the Three Sisters, a Native American planting technique enthusiastically adopted by the Amish. Corn is planted first, providing a tall, sturdy stalk. A few weeks later, pole beans are planted at the base of the corn. The beans, which are nitrogen fixers, enrich the soil for the heavy-feeding corn, while the corn stalk provides a natural trellis for the beans to climb. Finally, a sprawling squash or pumpkin is planted around the base. Its large, prickly leaves shade the ground, acting as a living mulch to conserve moisture and suppress weeds, while the spiny vines are said to deter raccoons and other pests from raiding the corn. This is a perfect symbiotic guild, a miniature ecosystem where each plant supports the others. The same principles are applied throughout the garden. Aromatic herbs are among the most valued companions.